increase.
And in sports, Athens softball is off to a strong start this spring. Newswatch starts right now.
Good evening. I'm Jack Demler.
And I'm Andre Norrells. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. Ohioans who want to vote in the May 3rd election must make sure they are registered today. Races for U.S. Senate and more statewide races will be on the ballot, but it is unlikely the ballot will include the state House and state Senate races. The Ohio Supreme Court has struck down 3 voting district maps created by the GOP-controlled Ohio Redistricting Commission, saying they violate the state constitution. A second primary is expected for the state legislative races in August. Inactive voters are removed from the voter rolls every year. If you do not vote frequently, you may want to check your registration status. For more information about the upcoming elections and registering to vote, visit vote.ohio.gov. Ohio University International Week is back after a 2-year hiatus, in-person hiatus, because of the pandemic. Newswatch reporter Sarah Donaldson has more on the week.
Thanks, Andre. The International Student Union hosted its first events of the week today on College Green, and student leaders say anticipation is building for the International Street Fair uptown Saturday, too, an annual partnership between OU and the city of Athens. Monday kicks off a week-long tradition that goes back more than 40 years at Ohio University. International Week.
We all come together as one to celebrate international students, to celebrate different cultures.
And with the last 2 years hindered by the COVID-19 pandemic, international students like Kia Kudu from Botswana say iWeek's return feels like a breath of fresh air.
We're hoping to kind of get back to what we're used to, and we're hoping to introduce new international students to what we usually do here at OU.
The week is defined by the exploration of unfamiliar cultures and the chance to bring different communities together.
It's the common culture, or it's the shared culture between international students here at Ohio University and the people at Athens.
Kudu and other student leaders put up more than 100 international flags on Ohio University's College Green for the day. ISU leaders also handed out Turkish coffee in the bitter cold this morning. International Week comes to a close with the International Street Fair Saturday. Global cultures converge on Court Street with food, music, and dance. But Kudu says it's an opportunity for international students to give back what they receive year-round.
I always say that I love Athens because of the tight-knit community. So I'm able to go to any event, I think Brew Week, they have it as an Athens event. I'm able to go there and just experience American culture. And then when we have events as international students, we're able to invite the whole community to come.
Ahead of the Street Fair Saturday, the International Student Union also plans to host international ice cream and tea tastings, as well as a trivia night.
Hundreds turned out for a procession through the city of Cambridge in honor of Gunnery Sergeant James Speedy. The Cambridge native was one of 4 Marines killed when an aircraft crashed during a NATO exercise in Norway. The Daily Jeffersonian reports Sergeant Speedy returned home with an escort from Zanesville Municipal Airport by the Ohio State Patrol, the Guernsey County Sheriff's Office, the Cambridge Police Department, the Patriot Guard Riders Motorcycle Group, and his family. Along the route, the city placed red, white, and blue bows on the sidewalks and hung them from the lamppost while Cambridge residents lined the route waving flags. Governor Mike DeWine ordered American and state flags on all public grounds and buildings throughout Guernsey County to be flown at half-staff until April 9th. Speedy was 30 years old. Opening arguments in a lawsuit accusing several drug makers of misrepresenting the risk and benefits of opioids began today in West Virginia. The lawsuit was filed by West Virginia Attorney General Patrick Morrisey and accuses Janssen, Teva, Allergan, and their family companies of this misrepresentation. The companies are accused of engaging in strategic campaigns to deceive prescribers, leading to the drug becoming a common treatment for chronic pain and fueling substance abuse in the state. The allegations in the lawsuit put the drug makers in violation of the State Consumer Credit and Protection Act. The trial is expected to take up to 2 months.
A large solar farm project is in the works in Jackson County. The Dixon Run Solar Farm project will be constructed on 2,000 acres of land along Dixon Run Road. Upon completion, the solar farm will generate nearly $1 million in tax revenue. County Commissioner John Hensler tells WSAZ he expects the project will create between 500 to 600 jobs for approximately 2 to 3 years. Some residents near the project are not happy about it. The resident Dana Schutte tells WSAZ she fears the construction on the new solar farm will have an effect on soil erosion, property value, and wildlife. The project remains on schedule to begin construction in 2023.
Good evening, I'm forecaster Cole Patterson. Let's take a look at the cloud coverage in the region right now and this afternoon. As you can see earlier today, we had tons of clouds over Indiana and Ohio, but since then they have moved out of the region, giving us a little bit of a break from the clouds right now. However, that break will be short-lived as we have more clouds coming in tonight and leading into tomorrow morning. Taking a look at our temperature right now, it is 51 degrees. Like I said, overcast. We'll have a little bit of a break in the clouds, but that is going to continue overnight. The wind chill makes it 48, so although it's not warm, it's definitely not freezing cold by any means. Taking a look at the temperatures around the region, it is 50 in Athens right now, 54 in Lancaster up to the north, 54 in Columbus up to the north, and down to the south, 57 in Charleston right around here, and 57 in Huntington as well. Taking a look at the nation, we have rain out in the western part of the country. However, that will be coming our way in a little bit. I'll have more about that in my full forecast, but for now, back to Andre.
Thanks, Cole. A new study on handgun carrying finds early intervention might be needed for rural young adults, and the country might soon see a spike in COVID cases and asylum seekers. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
I was convinced it had to be Alzheimer's.
A devastating illness.
This was the beginning of the end.
The quest to find the cure.
This is one of the most important studies being done worldwide.
How are you going to take care of her?
There may be an avenue of slowing down this disease or, in fact, preventing it entirely.
To think of all we've learned, this is quantum leaps.
Determined, fighting Alzheimer's on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
The American identity begins when Benjamin Franklin knit the American colonies together.
Franklin is endlessly interesting.
Printer, scientist, revolutionary.
He is the only founding father who evidently had a sense of humor.
His vision is broader than the American Revolution.
The things that he spoke of, that he wrote about, had a certain amount of power.
He really was an American genius.
Benjamin Franklin starts Monday, April 4th on PBS and the PBS app.
Coming up on the next Song of the Mountains.
Take this hammer, carry it to the captain. Take this hammer, carry it to the captain. Take this hammer.
Lively performances where old tradition meets new, here on Song of the Mountains.
Thursday at 8 on WOUB.
In Zambia's Luangwa Valley, a future king was born. From one year to the next, he embarked on a journey towards greatness. Whenever he was challenged, he'd respond audacious and bold. He was on the cusp of supremacy, a formidable contender to the throne.
Wednesday at 8 on WOUB.
A new study on handgun carrying suggests early intervention may be needed for rural young adults. Researchers used data from 2,000 people who self-reported handgun use. The time period was from when they were 12 to 26 years old between 2005 and 2019. Nearly 80% were unlikely to carry guns, but the study showed those who chose to arm themselves started carrying young, around 12 years old. Authors wrote that young adults in rural areas were more likely to carry guns than their urban counterparts. Authors continue to recommend programs to teach gun safety to youth. The study was published Monday in JAMA Network Open. COVID-19 cases might soon increase in your community. They're already up in some states. Experts say that's due to highly contagious Omicron subvariant BA2. Those changing trends come as the CDC is lifting a public health order from the start of the pandemic related to migration at the southern border. Amy Kiley reports the U.S. might soon face simultaneous spikes in COVID cases and asylum seekers.
Surges in COVID-19 cases and asylum requests might soon hit the U.S. at the same time. The CDC is lifting a Trump administration order. It stopped most migrant crossings at the southern border, including those for asylum, since March 2020. Immigrant advocates argue Title 42 is about politics, but the stated reason for it is COVID-19. The CDC says it's lifting the measure May 23rd. It says prevention and mitigation strategies and public health conditions are better now. Refugees like this mother plan to cross the border as soon as they can. Officials expect as many as 18,000 migrant encounters at the southern border daily in the short term.
The goal for everyone should be to make sure those asylum claims, those claims of people fleeing persecution, are heard in a prompt way. Those who deserve protection from persecution get that protection. Those who don't are promptly sent back.
Add to that the 100,000 Ukrainian refugees President Joe Biden promised asylum.
The easiest way to get to the U.S. right now is not an easy way at all. It requires flying to Mexico and then eventually to Tijuana on the border, putting your name on a list and waiting.
They're seeking to enter a country where average daily COVID-19 cases, hospitalizations, and deaths have been going down nationwide. But experts say the highly contagious Omicron subvariant BA2 might be reversing those trends. Cases continue to fall in 21 states. They're plateauing in these areas and going up in more than a dozen states plus Puerto Rico. I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
For more information about COVID in your area, visit coronavirus.ohio.gov. or call 1-833-427-5634. Again, that number is 1-833-427-5634.
The cost of war was on full display over the weekend. A wave of international condemnation after emerging images show bodies of civilians across the streets of Bucha, Ukraine. President Joe Biden and Ukraine's president both calling the acts of violence a war crime. Isabel Rosales reports on the growing fallout as President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia's actions make it very difficult to negotiate. But first, a warning. Some viewers may find the images in this story graphic and disturbing.
Global outrage and calls for a war crimes trial against Russian President Vladimir Putin.
The perpetrators of all these violations and war crimes will be held accountable.
President Joe Biden vows more sanctions are on the way.
He is a war criminal. This guy is brutal, and what's happening in Bucha is outrageous.
Over the weekend, horrifying images out of Bucha near Kyiv. The bodies of at least 20 men, civilians, left scattered along a single street. The town's mayor saying this mass grave could carry up to 300 victims.
We shall never forgive them. They will never be forgiven on this earth or in heaven.
Despite all the video evidence, Russia claiming it's fake. Ukraine's president witnessing the atrocities from the ground, calling it a genocide. Unable to take control of parts of Ukraine, the Kremlin apparently revamping its war strategy, now shifting focus to eastern Ukraine, with a target date of control by early May, according to several U.S. officials.
When the war with Germany began, I was only 1.5 years.
This Holocaust survivor once escaped the Nazis as a baby. Now, at 82 years old, she's pushed out of her home for a second time.
It is very difficult when my beautiful town, when I lived all my life, is destroyed.
I'm Isabel Rosales reporting.
More than 4,200 civilians were able to evacuate Ukraine on Saturday, according to the country's deputy prime minister. The Red Cross has been unable to reach the besieged city of Mariupol due to security concerns. That's the city where 100,000 residents remain trapped and blocked from aid by Russian troops, according to local leaders. Cat food and canned beer consumers may be affected by aluminum shortages around the country. That story is still ahead.
And although we saw rain today, it's moved out of the region since then. but it will be back in a short amount of time. I'll have more about that in my full forecast just ahead, but for now, here's a look at stocks of local interest.
How do you capture and sum up a concert with one image?
I'm a rock fan. I want to see that picture and I want to hear it. I want to feel it.
I really felt like I was part of the band.
It's kind of like being a war photographer. You're ready for battle.
You really are stealing a frame out of life and saying, this is worth 1,000 words.
Best job in the world.
Saturday at 9 on WOUB.
I was convinced it had to be Alzheimer's.
A devastating illness.
This was the beginning of the end.
The quest to find the cure.
This is one of the most important studies being done worldwide.
How are you going to take care of her?
There may be an avenue of slowing down this disease or, in fact, preventing it entirely.
To think of all we've learned, this is quantum leaps.
Determined, fighting Alzheimer's on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
The American identity begins when Benjamin Franklin knit the American colonies together.
Franklin is endlessly interesting.
Printer, scientist, revolutionary.
He is the only founding father who evidently had a sense of humor.
His vision is broader than the American Revolution.
The things that he spoke of, that he wrote about, had a certain amount of power.
He really was an American genius.
Benjamin Franklin starts Monday, April 4th on PBS and the PBS app.
Coming up on the next Song of the Mountains.
Take this hammer, carry it to the captain. Take this hammer, carry it to the captain. Take this hammer.
Lively performances where old tradition meets new, here on Song of the Mountains.
Thursday at 8 on WOUB.
Welcome back. I'm forecaster Cole Patterson. Tonight we're going to see a low of 41 degrees with a 30% chance of showers. So although rain isn't a main factor tonight, it will become later on in the week. But for tonight, only a 30% chance of rain with that low of 41. Looking at the region right now, as we can see, all of the rain earlier today has since moved out to the east. Although it is gone for tonight, it will be back tomorrow as well. So enjoy having a little bit of dry conditions tonight. Right now, as you can see for today, we had a whole bunch of rain down in the corner over here, We had some severe rain down in the southern region over there, but dominantly right now and as recent as a couple hours ago, we did not have much up here. However, that changes as tomorrow we have those low pressure systems bringing the rain into the Ohio region. That is what's going to be bringing in the systems down from the south and up into the Ohio region, and that is how we will experience some of these rainy conditions. As tomorrow we can see it covering the entire Athens area and that West Virginia area down there as well. So steady showers throughout the day is what we're going to be seeing tomorrow. 70% chance to be specific. However, our temperatures will climb up to 61 degrees, so thankfully it won't be bitter cold, just some wet conditions outside. Our low tomorrow is also going to be 46, so thankfully no winter coats, just those rain jackets. Low pressure systems are also a big story for tomorrow night, down a little bit more south than us right now, or tomorrow night as I should say. But those will be brought up throughout the evening tomorrow as we get a lot of more steady rain in the evening hours. Looking at our 3-day look ahead, we have a 70% chance of rain tomorrow, but also a 60% on Wednesday, so that rain will not be going anywhere. Thursday, it's a 20% chance, so much less rain than the next 2 days. However, it is still a good possibility. High of 71 on Wednesday, so it will be very warm then, dropping off to 65 on Thursday, so a little bit warmer than tomorrow. Looking at our weekend, now this is where it's going to get a little bit scary. We're going to have a chance of snow on Saturday. Nothing too crazy or anything. However, we're going to have those bitter temperatures in the morning, which will then turn this chance of snow into a wintry mix, which could cause for some icy, snowy road conditions. So be sure to exercise caution no matter what happens, even if it doesn't accumulate on the ground. We're still going to be seeing a lot of that wintry precipitation on Saturday. Although we will reach a high of 50, it shouldn't last long, as Sunday we get to 59 and we will even have a little bit of sunshine. So although this week it's going to be a little bit overcast and miserable pretty much throughout the days, we're going to have that peak of sunshine on Sunday with a high of 59 and a low of 35. And looking at our big 7-day outlook, 61 tomorrow, 70 on Monday. So warmer temperatures, hopefully consistent as we get into next week. Despite hitting 71 tomorrow, there will be rain all week. And hopefully next week we'll have some more dry conditions. That's all for weather. Now back to the desk.
Shortages continue to plague grocery stores. And now the latest victims appear to be cat food and canned beer. That's because aluminum is in short supply, right as demand is increasing. In today's Consumer Watch, a look at what's behind the latest commodity challenge and how companies are taking action to combat the supply issues.
Aluminum is in short supply, and that's leading to shortages in both the cat food aisle and at your local brewery.
We are actually having aluminum demand spikes within the United States and around the world.
Say Ken Allschool, assistant professor of supply chain management from the University of South Florida, says we can blame labor shortages, the pandemic, and the ongoing supply chain crisis. Production isn't meeting up with demand, and China's pollution crackdown is driving aluminum manufacturing even further.
Basically, decrease the production by approximately 10 to 20% worldwide.
Allschool says pet adoptions soared during the pandemic and are still strong, raising that demand for cat food. And as some retailers take measures to eliminate aluminum packaging, aluminum isn't the only problem cat food sellers are dealing with.
We don't have enough meat products that go into that cat food. And the main reason really for this is our workforce.
The aluminum shortage and price increases are also having a major impact on small breweries across the country. Demand for aluminum can products skyrocketed during the pandemic as alcohol consumption rose and breweries shifted to to-go models.
Pretty much everything has gotten more expensive, most notably our packaging. So the aluminum cans and lids and everything, really everything we use connected to the canning of the product.
For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Experts predict this is an issue that may linger for several more months, well into 2023.
Coming up in sports, Athens High School softball finds success early in its season. That story is still ahead. And be sure to stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
I was convinced it had to be Alzheimer's.
A devastating illness.
This was the beginning of the end.
The quest to find the cure.
This is one of the most important studies being done worldwide.
How are you going to take care of her?
There may be an avenue of slowing down this disease or, in fact, preventing it entirely.
To think of all we've learned, this is quantum leaps.
Determined, fighting Alzheimer's on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
In Zambia's Luangwa Valley, a future king was born. From one year to the next, he embarked on a journey towards greatness. Whenever he was challenged, he'd respond audacious and bold. He was on the cusp of supremacy, a formidable contender to the throne.
Wednesday at 8 on WOUB.
These galleries are a very good example of the achievements of the Muslim world.
We start off with what people know, and then we get to a sense of discovery.
Islamic art is not simply just an Arab art.
The tremendous mix of world images, cultures.
What we are really eager to show is the very great diversity and the very great richness of the Islamic world.
Thursday at 10 on WOUB.
The American identity begins when Benjamin Franklin knit the American colonies together.
Franklin is endlessly interesting.
Printer, scientist, revolutionary.
He is the only founding father who evidently had a sense of humor.
His vision is broader than the American Revolution.
The things that he spoke of, that he wrote about, had a certain amount of power.
He really was an American genius.
Benjamin Franklin starts Monday, April 4th on PBS and the PBS app.
Athens High School softball looks to continue its strong start on the season. The Bulldogs have won 3 of their first 4 games. They took their opening game against Marietta last week and then fell to TVC Ohio foe Wellston. Athens played in the Cruiser Classic in Columbus over the weekend, defeating both Groveport Madison and Bishop Watterson. Head coach Roger Bissell says he wants to win the TVC this season.
So outlook for this season is to win the TVC. That is our #1 objective, is to go after the TVC. Being district champions last year and coming back and doing that again would be something awesome. And then going to Akron, of course, that's everybody's dream. But right now, we want to go small steps, and the conference is our goal.
Tune in to Newswatch tomorrow to hear how the Bulldogs' success last season has led to bigger goals for this year. Ohio softball prepares to face Akron tomorrow. Ohio comes off a series win in the Battle of the Bricks. The Bobcats dropped the opening game against the Redhawks 4-3 Friday. Ohio rallied to take the doubleheader Saturday. Megan McMenemy scored on a fielder's choice in the 11th inning of Game 1 to give the Bobcats a 13-12 victory. Miami was up 7-0 after 2 innings in the second game. The Bobcats didn't let that last long and came back to take the series with the 12-7 victory. Ohio hosts Akron tomorrow with first pitch at 2 from the Ohio softball field. Ohio baseball must get back on track this weekend in conference play. Ohio dropped all 4 games to Central Michigan over the weekend. The Bobcats struggled in Saturday's doubleheader. A.J. Roush scored in the 7th inning, and that was it for Ohio in the 5-1 loss. The Bobcats scored 3 runs early in the second game, but again, that was it in an 8-3 loss. Sunday was a similar story. Central Michigan got off to a strong lead early in both games, and Ohio wasn't able to come back, dropping the first game 5-2 and the second game 12-6. Ohio's game against Morehead State tomorrow is canceled because of weather. It now prepares for a series against Toledo this weekend. Ohio continues to slip down in the Mid-American Conference standings. The Bobcats enter the weekend in 3rd place, but they now sit in 7th place after the sweep from first place Central Michigan. Ohio has a chance to move above Toledo with wins this weekend. Miami, Eastern Michigan, and Kent State are among teams above Ohio. Only the top 4 teams make the MAC tournament in May. The Columbus Blue Jackets look to get back on track tonight as they host the Boston Bruins. The Blue Jackets have lost 6 straight games heading into tonight. Their most recent loss was Saturday against Boston and in the front end of the home-and-home series against the Bruins. The 5-2 loss hurt the Blue Jackets' dwindling playoff hopes. Puck drops tonight at 7 in Nationwide Arena. I'm Maria Manessi, and that's it for sports. Back to you, Andre.
Thanks, Maria. Now this is something you don't see every day, a baby seal in the middle of the roadway. It happened in Southampton, New York on Sunday. Police officers were called after residents saw the seal wandering through a parking lot. It made its way near a hotel before it was rescued from a traffic circle. The New York Marine Resource Center had a team come retrieve the baby seal, and it was brought to a rehab center. The program director of the center says seal season is approaching. He says harbor seals usually rest on rocks and beaches, and something like this is uncommon.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Jack Demler.
And I'm Andre Norrell. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.
Support comes from Explore Hocking Hills. Mind, body, and soul can revive. Surrounded by the natural beauty of the Hocking Hills, outdoor adventure